Right, so let's begin the correlation analysis. So in the last session, I had a brief discussion on what do you mean by correlation, and today we'll see using Excel how you can do that, and further, of course, the significance of correlation return. Stock returns means any virtual stocks I have taken. Let's say, for example, any company stocks, say Reliance Industries Limited, and these are daily returns in percentage terms. So if it is a percentage terms, of course, it is basically scale data. Okay, and then we have corresponding to that stock return, I have taken a gold return. Gold means the gold price changes every day, and based on that you also calculate the returns in percentage on a daily basis. So these two columns represents a daily percentage return of stock and gold respectively. Okay, and you can see that we have taken around say two, and then this is yeah, so 30, I think 20, how much? 30, 39. It's 39 days return. 39 days returns are have been taken. And let us see, we want to find out, is there any association between these two returns? Whether stock returns and the gold returns, these are two asset class. So do we see any kind of association between these two returns? Because these two assets class are independent, different altogether. So so as an investor, you can choose whether to invest into stock or whether to invest into gold. And of course, these two different asset class shows different returns. So let us find out first, is there any association? And association means basically simply in a simple mean that if let's say, for example, if a stock goes up, what happens to the gold return? If there is a strong association, it will have some meaning. Okay, and if it is there is no association, means both are independent, and association may be positive or negative. Okay, so let us look at this, how to find out a correlation, and thereafter based on those output, we'll interpret and see how you can use this correlation in what respect. Okay, so the first part is that you have to again go to the data. Okay, and then go to data analysis. So again, this I'm clicking on data analysis. You will get this window, and in this window you will have to have this correlation part. Okay, so you just click on correlation. Okay, this new window will come. You have to give the entire range. So this input range has been picked up. Your label in the first row, I'll click on this, and then the new worksheet fly. So I'll say that the output should be there in the new sheet. Okay, all right, so this is your output. Let me just make it big so that you can see it. All right, so all right, so this is your output of a correlation analysis. Now here, this again, like there are two this thing, stock returns and gold returns. Similarly, you have a 2x2 matrix, and this 2x2 matrix talks about these values. So here, between stock returns and gold returns, this is the coefficient. This is the correlation coefficient that is coming out to be here, and so okay, so this is so this correlation coefficient is minus 0.98253. So if I just keep this as let me reduce the decimal figure to this. Okay, so 0.983. Okay, now 0.983, what does this indicate? And there is a negative sign before that. So these two numbers are important to interpret. Let me show you how do you interpret that. So okay, let me take the first range. So this correlation is also called correlation coefficient, and this may take these values. Okay, let me put it here so that it is more relevant to look at. Okay, so this range, correlation coefficient may have a range from -1 to +1. Okay, it can take any value between -1 and +1. Now, what does this minus 1 means? Minus 1 simply says that it is these two variables are perfectly negatively correlated. Okay. When we say minus zero point 0.5, or it can take any value between minus 1 and plus 1, so it can be 0.6 also, minus zero point 0.7 also, minus zero point 0.8 also. If it is minus zero point 0.5, we'll call it as moderately negatively correlated. If the value comes out to be 0 or maybe 0.1 or minus 0.1, we call it as no association between two variables, means both variables are independent in nature and there is no as such association, means they are not moving in a particular fashion together. Their togetherness is not actually in this there is no association in that. They are perfectly moving in as per their own wish. Then you may have say zero point 0.5. Zero point 0.5 simply says it is a positively correlated, and 1 it is called perfectly negatively correlated. Now let's understand these values and the minus and plus sign. Now here in this case it is coming out to be minus 0.983. Now minus is one particular sign. Minus simply say that these two are negatively correlated, which means that if one stock is giving a positive return, then gold is giving a negative return, means both are moving opposite to each other. Whenever the stock gives a positive return, the gold gives a negative return. It goes down, means gold prices are going down. When the stock price goes up, the gold price goes down. Okay. And how much they are associated, I mean, whether they are strongly associated or they are loosely associated or they are moderately associated, that actually this correlation coefficient value, which is minus zero point 0.9, so this value 982.982. Okay, this talks about how strongly they are associated, means their association, means their movement, that one stock goes up then the other variable is going down, how they are associated, how strongly they are associated. So this value simply says that they are this just a minute, I have put a wrong number here. So yeah, so they are strongly negatively correlated. Okay. So this simply says that so by looking at a correlation coefficient, you can actually judge how these two variables are associated. Okay. And they are associated positively or negatively. That talks about the direction of their association, which means that if one particular variable is giving a positive return, then the other variable is giving a negative return. Okay. And that is happening most of the time. If it is happening most of the time, then it is strongly associated. If it is happening somewhat not many times, then it is moderately associated. And if this is not happening at all, that they are actually moving in a random manner, that one stock goes up, then probably someday the other stock, other stock is moving down. Someday the a particular stock is going down, then the other is also going down, like that. So there is no association. If there is no association, means they are independent. You cannot actually take any this thing out of it. So this is the one part which is correlation. And so what is the significance of correlation, where actually it is used? If I ask any one of you, can you just throw some light where exactly, if you know that these two returns here, if I just put this, gold and stocks returns are given like this, and their correlation coefficient is like this, then what can you make out, and where you can use this information, how this information is useful, how this analysis is useful? Can anybody talk on that?
So when we have various like options in order to invest, in order to determine which would be the best option out of these, then we can work upon the correlation.
Okay, so out of these two, which one do you think is the best option for investment? Can you make out? I mean,
Stock return.
stock return is see, most of the time it seems as if it is giving a positive return. Uh, but let's say for example, if I put these minus figure, okay, these gold returns to stock returns and stock returns to gold return, okay. So what will be the correlation coefficient in that case? If I change the gold return and put it in place of stock returns and replace the stock return with the gold return, what do you think, like what would be the correlation coefficient?
So that
Will
will
it
be same as
be the same?
we have
Same.
right now. Same रहेगा.
The same with
And this
yeah.
is not easy to we will not be able to judge on the basis of correlation analysis that which stock is giving more return.
Hmm.
It just help us to know that uh, what will happen to the stock return if gold return changes. It will give
Ah,
us a idea about what we can do next. For example, if gold return is increasing and I know that there is a negative correlation between stock return and gold return,
hmm.
it will be known to me that if it gold return is increasing, stock return will go down.
Uh-huh.
And that will
And
give
or
me
vice versa.
idea of, yes sir, that will give me idea about what will be the reaction of my stock for after some meaning with a change in a particular
Hmm.
variable.
Very correct. Very correct. Yes. So let me put it more simple. That today's in today's scenario, if I just give an example of today's stock market returns, and if you know that there is a negative correlation between stock returns and gold return, okay, and you know that stock market is falling, which is giving a negative returns, right? And if there is a negative association between these two, which means that if stock returns goes down, then the gold will give a positive return, right? So this is the time when, if stock is giving a negative returns or is going to give a negative returns in near future, you should stop investing into stock and you should keep on investing into gold, okay? Because gold in near future, if you assume that gold will give say stock will give a negative returns, in that case, knowing that this is a negative association between two variables, you should invest into gold, because gold will give a positive return over the period of time. I mean, over the period of time means not for infinite period of time, but for whatever period when you think like stock is going to go down. Okay, maybe for 1 month or 2 months. So in today's scenario, if you look at, let's say, from 2 months from now, 2 months back scenario. So from 2 months, the stock is falling. Okay, stock is falling, and and corresponding to that, if you look at the gold returns, gold is giving a positive return during the same period. Okay, so this actually basically talks about that if you know there is a negative correlation coefficient between two, and if they are very strongly associated, then you should definitely and if you are able to forecast whether the stock market, if the stock market fall in near future, then the gold should be the preferred investment option. Okay, so likewise, you may have various kind of scenarios wherein, and particularly correlation, these kind of stuff is important in a financial world. Wherein you can look at this, that whether they are positively associated or negatively associated. So negative is talking about directional change. Okay, if one stock moves up, what happens to the second stock? And you can find out between two stocks also. You can find out stocks like or different two markets, that Indian stock market and US stock market, how they are correlated, and you will find that they are positively correlated. Means whenever US market goes up, Indian stock market also goes up. If US market goes down, Indian market will also go down. So there is a positive correlation. Similarly, in between different asset class like gold and stocks, you'll find a negative correlation. Sometimes it is strong association, sometimes it is moderately associated, negatively associated. So likewise, you'll have various study. You can conduct various studies and find out the association between two different variables. Okay. So this is your correlation coefficient story, and how to find out correlation coefficient. That's we told you. This talks about this. You'll go into the correlation analysis, and these are possible ranges. That is important to know. If it is +1 perfectly positively correlated, it is -1 perfectly negatively correlated. Now here you have to understand that the negative sign talks about the directional change between two variables, and the number talks about the magnitude. It means association, strength of the association. If it is high, it is strongly associated. It is low, it is moderately, or if it is 0 or less than, I mean very close to 0, zero point 0.1, zero point 0.2, we can call it as somewhat independent in nature. They are not associated. All right.